Come on.
It's fine.
leave, it was empty, and we come back and it's a full house. Isn't that amazing?
It was really eye-opening.
Randy, you would come up for a second.
See where they
In the hotel motel,
or red hot.
it does actually place those duties on the city clerk. No. So, you know, it's just simple ordinance. It's a simple ordinance change. Check yes to everything. You want to talk to Dan and about him doing that, we can make that change. Now, the ordinance has two things on it. One is the city clerk is the person that receives all the funds and money. And then the second is she's the one that actually administers it as well. So, exactly. So, it's something that's very easy to change to make. And, talking to Julie and him and do each other.
Nothing immediate, you just gotta see.
Right, but it's something, it would just take a simple ordinance change to do.
I didn't know if that happened. Since Clark, he doesn't say.
No. Right,
I can go ahead and call Gary Fox, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe not.
They are the individuals that don't like the access which is in the county.
Gary? That's a pretty speaker.
Everybody ready? Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. If you'll please stand for our invocation and pledge.
Join me as we pray. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity to come and do the business of the city tonight. We also remember today and thank you for the holiday that strengthens our community, and we celebrate the freedom for those in our community today. And thank you for that time that we can just draw and remember days in the past, and may we not repeat those same things moving forward. Go with us now as we do the business of the city. Give us wisdom, and it's in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Peters, roll, please.
Carrie Hodge, Ward 1. Here. Jay Stepp, Ward 2.
Here.
Carrie Rock, Ward 3.
Here.
Calvin Cooley, Ward 4.
Here.
Gary Fox, Ward 5.
Here.
Alyssa Cordell, Ward 6. Here.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yes.
First order of business tonight is the approval of our council meeting minutes from June 5th. And council, you've had an opportunity to look these over, and now would be the moment to make any amendments to that. If there are none, a motion's in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Council, I'm also going to ask you to add 3 items to the agenda this evening. I'll entertain a motion for that.
Make a motion to add 3 items.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
3 items added. Thank you for that. We're going to keep the ball rolling. AZ 25-01. Mr. Menino, if you'll get us started on that, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a proposed annexation and zoning. Switch is looking to add 2 parcels to its campus that they've already established out there and is under construction. These 2 parcels will add more buffer area and surrounding area to their property. With that, the property in the county is currently zoned A1, and the proposed zoning for what they're proposing to annex will be the technology district. With that, it did go to Planning Commission. Planning Commission did recommend approval of the annexation and the zoning to the technology district. With that, there was also 10 conditions that went along with that, and as I'd mentioned in the work session, the 10th condition was access to Etowah Ridge Trail be restricted, which did want to use that as an emergency access location. So there is a little bit of contention there on that particular condition that Planning Commission did place on that particular parcel. Again, with that, they did recommend approval with conditions.
And Randy, the other 9 conditions were the same conditions that were placed on the original switch rezoning.
That is correct. That's so the conditions stay the same on all the parcels that are out there. As with all the cases on the agenda tonight, they all have been properly posted and advertised. Appears to be no conflicts of interest, and they were reviewed based on the standards for exercise of zoning powers.
Thank you. Any questions for Randy at this time? Thank you, sir. We will open up a public hearing for AZ 25-01. Anybody wishing to step forward to speak for or against may do so at this time. We will begin with the applicant. Good evening, Mr. Lugents.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Carl Lugents, 114 Old Mill Road. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Switch, and Switch is a data center. Our request is, as was stated in the presentation earlier by Randy and David, that the request is to annex and zone in 2 parcels. One parcel has frontage on Etowah Ridge Trail, which is the parcel in the red at the top of the page. And then the other parcel is joins Paulding County at basically the southwest corner in the square you see in the red. The Etowah Ridge Trail property is about 28 acres, and the other one is approximately 36 acres. And the primary goal is that their majority of their campus right now is in the city of Cartersville. They desire to have their entire campus within the city of Cartersville so that it's not a split jurisdiction. So logistically, that makes sense for Switch. Secondly, Switch does not have any intentions on building on these parcels. Their intention, other than they do have a request for building any buildings, data centers on these parcels, other than they do have a request or a necessity to have an emergency exit entrance off of the parcel located on Etowah Ridge Trail. It is more of a driveway. I don't even want to call it a road, but it's a driveway that would go through that parcel, and the driveway would be located on basically the eastern side of the property line. I can show you here. It would be a driveway that would be located along basically this portion of the property to access what they call their phase 2 of their campus. The campus, if you go from the entrance on Old Alabama Road all the way to the furthest point south, it's about 2.5 miles. So that's a long way to go for one entrance. So their desire is to have a couple of entrances. This is the next one, which is basically mid-campus.
I don't mean to cut you off mid-sentence, but if they're requesting emergency access, I understand that. This would not be used for access for construction of any of the future phases?
Correct. It would not be used for construction. It would be used for emergency access only. And then the only other thing that potentially would be built on that property would not be by Switch. It would be by Bartow County Water Department. So I don't want to say nothing would be built on there. They have requested a site. They have located a site on that land which is about a 2-acre site of the 28 acres for a water tank. Currently, there are issues with high water pressures down on the Bates Road and Old Alabama area that are blowing out water meters and pipes. And so they're trying to figure out how to separate water zones. So that has nothing to do with the annexation or zoning. However, I don't want to sit here and say nothing would be built when that is being socialized a water tank. It's not by Switch, it's by Bartow County. So the road or drive that we are proposing for emergency access only would only be that. It would be gated and used only if there was a need to get to that area of the campus quicker. One, and the second thing would be they do have an intention, which was a commitment they made to the community, to bring fiber optic into that area. And so there's fiber optic in parts of, there will be along Bates Road, and they will go up Etowah Ridge Trail with fiber optic and into the campus alongside, in the shoulder of the road and alongside this driveway. So that would be a useful utility, we believe, to the area, and it was a commitment that they made, and it was a desire of the citizens at the time. So I'm here to answer any questions that you may have, the council may have, as far as any other annexation or zoning questions or Switch itself. We would ask that I know this is the first reading, but when it gets time to vote, we'd ask for a favorable vote.
So I guess I have a question for Keith on this. Can a condition be to have them construct something? I mean, right now it's a commitment. I have no reason not to believe that Switch would be there, but I'm guessing if there's an adjacent resident that is apprehensive, can a condition be put in that they would provide those broadband or those fiber services? And if you say you'd advise against it, it seems a little unorthodox.
I would advise against it since that is off-site.
Gotcha.
And it does not serve the city of Cartersville.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Lugents at this time? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll continue with the public hearing for AZ 25-01, and anybody wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time. Yes, sir. Come on up here, and anybody that's going to speak tonight, hopefully you signed up outside, but if you would, make sure you start off with your name and your address so that our clerk can get you in the minutes for us, please, sir.
Yes, thank you. My name is Donald Wright, 65 Etowah Ridge Overlook. I attended the planning meeting, and they recommended that the access road not be granted for a few reasons. Number one, this is very hilly terrain. Major excavation has to be done to put in even an access road. There will probably have to be a bridge of some sort because there's a valley, water goes through that. It is not just a little gravel road that's going to go in there. And it's coming out on Etowah Ridge Trail that there's 25 residents on that access Etowah Ridge Trail. It is a very hilly, narrow road. 4 county school buses access that road at the top, right at their property, to do turnarounds in the cul-de-sac. It does not behoove us as residents, we're county, we're not city. It does not behoove us as residents to have the construction go on first of all for an access road, because there is more involved. I met with Steve Taylor on Tuesday. He wasn't aware, but he did find out while we were talking that the county is going to put a 3 million gallon ground-mounted reservoir tank on that property. He is of the understanding that access to that will be from the backside coming through Switch's property to that water tower, not coming over on Etowah Ridge Trail. I also have another concern because I think that this access road is like putting a toe in the water to see what's going to fly up there. The adjacent piece of property to the 28 acres is owned by RMS, just recently owned by RMS Holding Company. Switch is using that as a business address.
I'm not gonna be able to see or understand that, but are you saying the one to the property to the left of where, you can go to the map if you'd like to, just to show us so we understand?
151 Etowah Ridge Trail, right here. It's owned
Okay,
by RMS, am I not right? Yeah. I think that they're trying to see about an access road on this 28 acres. I don't know why, because it'll be a costly process. Coming across 151 to their property is almost a straight arrow shot, relatively flat land, but we don't want a road there either, coming out on Etowah Ridge Trail. But can somebody put this on the screen?
if, we don't have that capability, if you would, sir, we can get you somebody's email address that you can send that, when we're done here.
You can send it to my phone any place you want to.
Okay, well, after we're done with the hearing, or after you're done speaking, if you'll get with either one of the three gentlemen at the table there,
Okay.
and we can get a copy of that, and that can get distributed to council for you.
All
And make
righty.
sure that's in the record.
I don't think any of us neighbors out there are opposed to the annexation. We've already had a year and a half of the heavy equipment running behind us. I think the data center will probably be quieter than that equipment that's running back there. I don't have any problems with that. I don't think any of us do. But we're vehemently opposed to access to a substandard road. And I mean, it is a snaky, hilly, narrow road that school buses use. And I don't think that's by choice. I think it's by commitment. With that, I thank you folks, and like I said, we're county, we're not city, but we're definitely a player in this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Thank you.
All right, once again, hearing continues for AZ 25-01. Anybody else wishing to get up and speak for or against may do so at this time.
And Mayor, just to reiterate for the record, this is the public hearing on the zoning.
Yes. Anyone else on the zoning person?
Please come up here and show me one more time where this road is supposed to be.
Yes, and I assumed I was gonna get some time for rebuttal.
Absolutely, sure.
Sorry, I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah, and so it's really not a road, it's gonna be a driveway that would go along this red line right here, which is kind of, if you look at the aerial images, right along that property line there. As soon as we hit the green, it turns and goes into the property. So it's that one stretch. So, the gentleman from the audience here mentioned something about a neighboring property that's owned by RMS. I don't know why. Switch has nothing to do with that property. If there's an address that says that they're using it for business, but they are not occupying that property, it's a typo or a mistake. All of their business is dealt with on the campus that's off of Bates Road and Old Alabama Road. They have offices at that location. If there is an address mistake somewhere, then they'll certainly look to get it corrected, but we have nothing to do with that other property.
Okay. I do have a question relative to Mr. Wright's comment. I haven't driven this road. Again, it's back, it's in the county and it's back tucked away a little bit. I just haven't been down to that. I'm sure it's beautiful. I just haven't been down to that part of it. Relative to the degree of excavation that, and I'm not asking you to, I mean, how much work would need to be done to have that road be in a drivable condition, and how much of an impact would it have on the residents of Etowah Ridge Drive?
The gentleman is correct. It's challenging terrain. The entire site is challenging terrain. And to build an access road would disturb about 4 acres of the 28 acres to build that access road back in there. So, and that's not 100% scienced out. But obviously, our goal is to minimize whatever grading impact we do. We don't want to do any more work than we have to do. This road is not going to be traveled in and out. It's not going to be used for construction of the campus. Again, the only construction, it won't even be used for construction of the tower. The tank that Bartow County would build. And again, I don't know that that's 100% set in stone that they're going to build one, but we are making provisions for them to build a tank, constructing through the campus internally. That road is simply used as a minor driveway for emergency purposes, and should, for some reason, the county can't get through the internal road system, they would have another way to get to their tank as well. So it serves solely as emergency and security backup.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
Absolutely.
Mayor?
Yes.
He only had 10 seconds of his original 5 minutes allocated left.
Thank you for that. I'll go ahead and just make your comment. I'm not going to
Okay.
cut you off after 10 seconds, but please
far
follow the
as
spirit of that, please.
As far as the need for an access road there, it's less than a mile to the road off of Bates Road that's already used as a public entrance to that property. So they're going to gain a mile. They're not going to gain halfway down to Paulding County or whatever. So I fail to see the need for the access road.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And once again, go ahead.
I was just going to say, since you did allow another speaker, Mr. Luges does have an additional chance to offer rebuttal after everyone else speaks.
Absolutely. So, yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Charles Bates. I live on 70 Edward Ridge Overlook. And I think most of our concern is heavy equipment going up that road to build that access road and just tearing up that road. And because we have school buses going up, and there's probably 25 houses up that road there, and it's just it's a very narrow road, very old road, and it'll just tear that up. That's our main concern, my main concern.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Once again, AZ 25-01. Anybody else wishing to speak for or against? Come on up. Yeah.
Well, two questions. Do they have any, Joan Bates, 70 Edward Ridge Overlook. Do they have any idea where the tank is going to be built?
Okay.
Is it going to be
that
obvious
is-
to our road?
That is a question. Again, there's varying degrees of certainty that that's going to happen. This hearing, and again, I'm welcome everybody being here and being involved in local government. We're all signed up for that. I don't have that answer, and relative to the task before council is right now is the zoning of that particular piece of property.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Okay.
have that answer.
All right. My second,
But I would direct you to the county commissioner to perhaps ask him that question, or he can direct you to somebody that might have that answer if it's actually going to happen. It's the first I've heard of it.
my second question is that the switch is asking for permission to build that road. It takes, what did he say, 4 acres of it, if I heard him correctly.
Mm-hmm.
What is he going to do with the rest of the property? Is he going to come back here a couple years later and say, well, we want to do this and we want to do that? Or is he going to just leave it beautifully treed? That's a lot of, the trees are beautiful there. It's completely covered in trees. And I'd hate to see it all come down like it is coming down in the county. So I would like to know, is there a way to prevent this company from coming back and saying, okay, now for the other 20 acres, we want to build a McDonald's? I don't know. That's the first thing that comes
Sure.
to my mind. That's what I would like to know.
Yeah.
Can we prevent them from doing that?
Thank you. And we continue with AZ 25-01. Anybody wishing to speak on this topic may do so.
May I just input, and I'm sorry.
You got to come up here,
As I said, I met with Steve Taylor.
and I'm going to assign your time to somebody else who's not going to speak, just so we're
Day
following
before
rules here,
yesterday.
okay? Go ahead.
He himself did not know for sure about the tower, or not a tower,
Well-
the tank. But he did confirm it with his department.
Okay.
It will be built, a 3 million gallon ground level, highest point on the property is the location.
And here's what I would say to that. Now, again, I'm taking you at your word. You've
Yeah.
never lied to me before.
Okay. You never called.
But I would, never caught you. But, I mean, if, again, as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking about it, well, currently it resides in the county. This property resides in the county, and if the county wanted to put that water tower out there
It would
on
be-
that road, guess where they would be driving through to get to it? They'd be coming down your road.
Right.
It seems to me that with this annexation, again, now we're kind of going off the rails here, and I apologize for that, but the annexation piece and what's going to happen to that piece of property isn't really something that we're in a position to even consider when we're considering right now the zoning piece of this application.
Gotcha. And we're not opposed to the annexation. And Mr. Taylor did say that his understanding would be that the access road would be from the Switch property and not at a Water Ridge Trail. And that I
Gotcha.
think he was pretty clear on.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else? And seeing no one, Mr. Luges, do you have anything to follow up on since we've allowed other folks to come forward and speak? Thank you, and bless you for, yes.
Mayor, if I may, just to provide y'all information, I know you all have that in your package, but in light of the question that was asked, of course, about the person cutting down trees or clearing the property, of course, that can be done today, right now in the county. Whoever owns that property can go clear cut it. But the proposed conditions on this property that staff has recommended would require a 100-foot natural landscaping buffer to remain on this property if it was annexed into the city, where that currently does not exist.
Thank you for that.
Clarify that point for y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Lovell, for that. And seeing that none other stepping forward, I'm going to close the public hearing for AZ 25-01. We will have a second reading of this at our meeting conveniently on the evening of July the 3rd. And so we'll have another hearing. We'll have another set of hearings. We're getting ready to have a second hearing here in a minute. But we'll have that in council. We'll take it up for final consideration. Anything that was mentioned in this hearing is in the record, and it is something council will consider. Saying that, meaning everybody's welcome to come here and voice their opinion, but up here, we want to get council as much information as possible. We want to make sure we're plowing new ground. Sorry for the analogy there, ma'am, but we want to make sure that we are that we're getting new information. So hearing somebody say the same, having 4 people tell us the same thing 4 times doesn't make it 4 times stronger. So that being the case, again, July 3rd, same time, same place here for that second public hearing and council consideration. Okay? All right, we will, and while you're welcome to stay for the rest. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to do another public hearing.
Yes.
Thank you, both of you, for jumping out of the chair there. I haven't been doing this very long. I'll open up a public hearing for the annexation portion of this request. Since we had the hearing for the zoning portion of the request, this is a public hearing for the annexation portion of this request. Again, any comments made in that will transfer over to this public hearing as well. Anybody wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time. And seeing none, I'll close the public hearing for the annexation portion of AZ 25-01. All that stuff I said a minute ago still applies. And you're welcome to stay and watch us go about the rest of our business. It's really a lot of fun. But if you'd like to go off and enjoy the rest of your evening, we certainly thank you for coming. We'll move on with Z25-02.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. This is a proposed rezoning of approximately a half-acre lot located at 350 North Irwin Street. Currently, the property is zoned light industrial. They're proposing general commercial. As I had mentioned in the work session, back in 2019, it was zoned general commercial. When they rezoned it to light industrial, it previously had a car lot and automotive repair center on it. The owner in 2019 was looking to do a storage lot for a construction contractor. Now they're looking back at doing the automotive on the property. With that, Planning Commission did hear it. Planning Commission did recommend rezoning it back from light industrial to general commercial.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Randy on this item at the moment? Thank you, sir. I'll open up a public hearing for the zoning application Z25-02 and ask anybody wishing who cares to step forward, speak for or against at this time.
I'm Barry Springfield from 114 Highland Lane. I'm the one that owns the property, but I want to step up here in case any of y'all had a question about anything.
Good?
I mean, it's.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make comment on Z25-02? Now would be the time to do it. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing for Z25-02. Again, we'll have a second public hearing on July the 3rd, and then council will take it up for consideration. We'll move on to Z25-03. Randy Menino.
Mayor and council, this particular property is located on Thornwood Drive between Clubview Drive and Thornwood subdivision. You've seen it several times. It came through. It dates back a couple of years. They started to propose originally 92 townhome units on the property. Then they came back with 80, 84 townhome units. That did end up being withdrawn. With that said, a new applicant has come forward and is looking to do approximately 52 detached units on the property. It went back to Planning Commission. Planning Commission did recommend approval of the application this time. There are several enumerated conditions that go with that, including maximum 10% rental and several other items. And they did recommend approval after recommending denial of the last two requests on the property.
Does the plan submitted meet our development regulations, or will they need to be applying for variances if this were to be rezoned?
There could be a possibility of variances depending on how it's interpreted, because there is a private drive that runs. Thornwood itself is a private drive, and it will provide frontage on the front and the back. So technically, if they're coming in the road they're proposing, that could be their rear access. And then you also have the Country Club Road that runs down the other side. We haven't evaluated it that close, but it may or may not require a variance for the rear access, depending on how it gets interpreted when we look at the final development plans of the parcel.
Thank you. Any other questions for Randy at this time? Thank you. I'll open up a public hearing for Z25-03. Ask anybody wishing to speak for or against to do so at this time, and the applicant may go first.
Good evening, Robbie Stewart, 408 Terrell Drive. This project, y'all have seen it several different times. What we're proposing is, we've got 48 lots shown. We think that once the engineering is done, we'll be somewhere right around 52 single-family homes. We want to address your question about a variance. No variance, as we understand the ordinance, no variance will be needed. The current layout that you've got in front of you all shows the houses on the main road facing each other, and that would be a variance request. We don't have to have that. The ordinance states in the RA 12 that you have to access from the rear, and that they have to face a private drive or a public road. So we would access Thornwood. Can I walk over here?
Absolutely.
These units here could be accessed from the private drive here. Therefore, they're facing a public road or a private drive. So those are clear. These houses right here could be accessed to this private alley, and they're facing this road, rear access there. These are facing a private drive and rear access there. So if we access these from the Thornwood right there, no variance will be needed. It meets 100% of your ordinance. The only thing that we were talking to Randy about was if we did a front load instead of a rear load, that would require variance. But as we can meet the ordinance 100% without any variance needed. There's been issues with Thornwood, and I'm sure some people here are going to talk about the flooding and the water runoff. This pond was built after that development, so this pond's not going to help that development. There's some issues there that, you know, could be addressed. It will help some of the surface runoff, because some of the surface runoff right now is in the road and it puddles and ponds. That will be addressed by us through our development. The site will, you know, have a good bit of dirt brought in, leveled out. It's overall, the only thing that we're going to be controlling the water from would be the car wash, the microtel, and then there's another detention pond. That's the master plan that, through the hydrology study that David and them have got, that we're responsible for maintaining. So this is going to be roughly 52 is what we got conditioned, single family, detached, no townhomes. I think this is, you know, the best use for this property, you know, getting rid of the townhomes. Any questions?
So all those on the far left are all facing Thornwood Drive. The fronts are on the fronts are, or is that the rear of it?
So these right here, as they're drawn,
Yeah.
the fronts are facing this road, which would need a variance. We can flip it and put the driveway off of the backside right there. Then you have the rear load.
Okay.
So either way, but we're probably going to leave it where we access the homes from the rear, just like ordinance states, and not even come for a variance.
So you can drive right, so their driveways will be right on Thornwood Drive?
That's correct. And you would access, there would be what the ordinance is rear load, so you would enter from the back. But that is correct. These row houses would access off of Thornwood. They would face the new road. These would face the new road. This alley right here would have rear access to all of these houses and all of these.
And you're keeping these roads private roads, correct?
Unfortunately, we're having a challenge trying to get that turned over, because there is a shared access between the mini warehouse. We'd love to turn it all over, but we can't get them to agree to anything. The only chance that we would have, and we discussed this with the engineer, is zoom out here. This road right here comes down to the parallel road 41. We've got enough room to come in. There's 60 foot from this point to this point. There's enough room to get from here, to dedicate this over to you all, and then get in right there. This portion, there's just not.
We're talking about the mini warehouse facility on the other side of that Thornwood Drive, almost to the center line of that driveway.
And it's owned by a holding company out of New York, and they do not return telephone calls or anything else concerning doing that. And I can just tell you from personal experience, I've known at least 3 different attorneys that have represented the owners of that property over the years who have tried to contact that holding company, and they have had no success.
Okay.
I think that like this product is very similar to what's on Old Mill behind the front looks like, I guess affectionately called the Lollipop House. I would say that.
Yeah.
But then back there is very similar to this product. Correct?
This is yes. This product, that product is a 1-story ranch. Yes. This may be a 2-story, but it's the exact same layout with that. Yeah. You're taking the traffic and going to the back of the houses. Right. And keeping traffic off of the main road.
And Randy, do you know if those houses over there off Old Mill, just as a
Victoria Village, or
yeah,
Victoria Village, are those private or are those public roads in there?
Those are public roads.
Mm-hmm.
Same for, I believe, Lennox Park, which was in similar style.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I seen that one over there, and so.
That's exactly what this would look like. The only reason we can't give you a public road inside is you can't have a public road off of a private road. So if we can get you down to the parallel road to 41 and come in there, we're going to make that into a.
And so you would have a plan to care for that road as a private road? Because I know that we've run into that situation before where we don't have where that HOA does not keep up with a plan to care.
So I'm not sure. I do not think there's an HOA in Thornwood right now. We can address that. I think there's some residents here.
But that's not their road. But I'm saying for your development, you would have to have a plan to maintain that road.
And the HOA would have to take over that portion. The problem's going to be is getting to, like he said, the adjoining person, because they technically own half of it.
He's talking about the private road you are building within your own property.
Oh,
property.
Not-
100%.
Not the Thornwood.
Okay, 100%, yes. Yes. The interior road, the new road that we would be building, 100% the HOA would be responsible, for that. My hesitation is committing to you the current Thornwood Drive that we're referring to, because there's some legality with that that Keith has addressed that.
Yeah.
But 100%.
Yeah, I think that would though, however, bring in the concern of if you have access off that road in those rear access houses,
Yes.
and you're coming off that private road, that might be a challenge. Okay, thank you.
But it is our desire to figure out a way to turn this over into a public road, minus the rest of the area between our entrance into this and Thornwood.
What is stopping the guy that owns or the folks that own the storage from, since it is a private road and they own the road, what's to stop them from putting a gate across it?
Technically, the road is owned by the person that we're buying it from.
Okay.
There's an easement that they have, and I think it may go to the center line. Keith may be right. We wouldn't mind at all putting something up there, and it was even mentioned in the planning commission.
I'm talking about a gate restricting your access to that property.
Oh, no, that we own. Is there a?
They have a mutual easement between both of
Okay.
them to use that
All right,
for
so that won't-
themselves.
so that won't happen.
Now, whether they can block Thornwood, that's an entirely different question.
Yeah.
There was once upon a time that there was a gate put across that road.
Yeah.
It didn't stay long.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But the property that we're acquiring, Mr. Mayor, is owned by us. This part from here, all that is owned by us.
Okay.
So the other user has an access easement through our property.
Okay.
So it's owned by us.
All right. Very good. Any questions for Mr. Stewart?
Are y'all gonna repave the Thornwood Drive? When we talked to the people last time, they said that they would repave that road.
We're gonna have to address that, because especially if we're gonna come in with the rear entry off of that, then we're gonna have to address that. So we're budgeting to go in and repave that section. The question is gonna be is, what happens long-term there? And, if there's a gate there, then obviously it goes over to the HOA. So there's some question, but answer, yes, be redoing that road.
Anyone else? Thank you, sir. I'll continue on with Z 25-03. Anybody wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Deborah Mason. I live at 11 Winfield Drive, Cartersville, of course, and I'm in the Thornwood subdivision. I'm trying to gather everything that he's saying. It's great that it will reduce down to 50 units. However, if he is mentioning Thornwood, now Thornwood is part of my subdivision. Are they trying to add on to that on the private road? Because the problem with that is, again, is congestion, traffic flow, and the ponding. I would like a little bit more on the storm drainage thing that he discussed earlier, because it's still an issue. I've been here before, so you guys know my yard floods really bad. And any given hard rain, when you go through, it's just a puddle. So my thing is, I'm already dealing with that. So why would I have to deal with extra traffic coming into my subdivision? Because that's what it sounds like to me. They're extending the driveway there for them to be able to access Thornwood, which comes through my subdivision, correct?
That's the way I understand it.
Yeah, no.
Is that incorrect?
Well, they own that drive, that access, that's their property that Thornwood actually goes through to get into their property.
Yeah, that is not a public road. That is a private road that is owned by the holding company from New York and the current property owner, and they have a mutual easement on it. They have graciously, over the years, allowed the residents of Thornwood to use that drive. But as I think was said in the last speaker, they have decided to gate it over the years once or twice to block off access on that. And that is a private road that they can do whatever they want with.
And
It is
they
not a city road in any way, shape, size, or form.
Right.
And that's the only access into Thornwood, the subdivision?
No, it's
No.
on Grassdale.
No.
Thornwood has access off of Grassdale.
Right, okay.
So this was the thing. Years back, they did fence it. And then for whatever reason, the fence disappeared. And I'm told that the city had them remove that fence.
I called both parties and asked them to remove the fence because it was creating an inconvenience to their neighbors, and they graciously agreed to do that. It wasn't something that they were required to do, but since we made the request, they agreed to do it.
Okay, so the fence will be put back then?
Oh, I can't tell you.
That's what we
No,
would.
he's saying there was a fence put up by the two private property owners, and they were kind enough to take it down when Mr. Lovell asked them some years ago. But
Okay.
they could go out there tonight, from what I'm understanding, is they could go out there tonight if both sides agree they want to do that. They can shut that road down
And
right
that's
now.
fine.
Yeah, and there's nothing the city can do about that.
That would be great for me, because then I don't have to deal with the traffic going in and through my subdivision, hindering me to be able to get in and out. Because I know that it was originally a safety issue for emergency vehicles and whatnot, but they still have the main access off of Grassdale Road, which is going through Thornwood. My other concern is, and I'm glad they went down to the 52 units, but the environmental impact and the storm drainage that these new units will cause, because we never really discussed very much when the car wash was put there. So, you know, is the infrastructure able to hold all that? Because apparently it can't hold what's there now.
It's my understanding, y'all correct me when I start misspeaking, but the drainage that we're seeing on this particular property, you can't dump water on somebody else's property. The hydrology on this is responsible for just this area and for the area that's towards Grassdale where the car wash is?
Yes, it's a regional pond for the car wash and the development down there on the road.
So engineering says, the people that do all that kind of stuff say that that is going to be responsible for all the water that's there. It's not going to have, in that regard, I would say it's not going to impact you for better or for worse, is what the engineers say.
Okay, so let's just deal with the added traffic that's gonna come through my subdivision. That's unacceptable. If it's a private road, leave it private. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. We're continuing on with Z25-03. Anybody wishing to step forward to speak for or against may do so at this time.
Good evening, Keith Kirkland, 9 Winfield Drive. And yeah, I live in the Thornwood subdivision, and I'm gracious that they did reduce the amount of houses down to, I guess, 52-ish, which is, yeah, much better than having 80 or 90 at the time. But my main concern now, since they're talking about the driveway, the access, like you said, the road was private at one time. So is the city willing to make it private or to fence it back off? Because, I'm sorry.
It's up to the two property owners.
So the city couldn't do it?
No,
It's their private road, it's not a public road.
Yeah, but
No
when it
right
comes
on.
into the
Property
road.
owners, if they want to fence it.
So the city
if they want
couldn't
to.
block off the city portion,
No.
We don't block off public roads,
Yeah,
no.
we don't block public.
but it's
streets
private.
off. No, but we don't, if the city dead-ended a public road, which you are suggesting they do by putting up a gate or something, The city then would have to buy all the land around it and do a hammer turnaround or a cul-de-sac or something else, because the city can't have a street that just dead ends. We have to make them so that they are, emergency vehicles can access it. In other words, so fire trucks can
Yeah, I
go
got you.
around,
The
basically.
Thornwood
Yeah.
portion.
Yeah.
Okay, understandable. So, because really, the only thing I see that's gonna, it's no benefit to Thornwood at all, except it's the houses going over there, because our taxes are gonna go up, of course, because he's talking about the those houses going from 350 to 400,000. So, of course, our taxes are gonna go up. We're gonna get more traffic on there, but evidently you can't do anything about that. And now he's saying the access or the Thornwood, the private part of Thornwood is where I guess their vehicles are gonna turn into to get to their homes. The other street, Country Club Drive, which is the country club, it seems like they're the only one that's benefiting. They're getting the wooden fence and the nice shrubbery down there. So why doesn't those cars get to go into the back of their property, you know, on their houses from Country Club Drive? Because
Country Club Drive's a private road.
right.
We can't tell.
I know
them
you
what-
can't. Yeah. I'm just saying, just in the long run, they're the only ones that's benefiting. Our property taxes going up. We're gonna get more traffic and everything down that street. So that's where I'm at. But appreciate it. Thank
Gotcha.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. Once again, continuing on with Z25-03. Anybody wishing to step forward to speak for or against may do so at this time. Seeing none, Mr. Stewart, do you have anything to add or any rebuttal, or you have the opportunity to if you care so?
I have a question for you, please, Mr. Stewart. As many times as we've seen this come thus far, I'm still totally confused on one thing. Where does the Thornwood subdivision exit and entry lie currently?
It's on Grassdale Walk over here. So, scroll down. So right here is Grassdale Road.
So their entry and exit is there?
Is there, that is correct. So they come in Thornwood here, then this is the Thornwood development. This road continues on through here.
Got it.
All right, so in this right here, the highlighted blue is the parcel that we have under contract to buy. That's the property line that we have on it. So this is a private drive that's acted as a public road.
Gotcha.
Even though it says Thornwood Drive, it's the private portion of Thornwood Drive that you are seeking rights
So
to.
technically, we could come in conjunction with, we have to figure out the legal aspect of it, and come in with, you know, a dozer and cut that asphalt off right there, put a berm up, and kill access to Thornwood.
Right.
Now, I'm not so sure that's, I mean,
I'm not so sure those folks who just spoke would mind that one bit.
yeah, so, but I can tell you from being on the property as much as we are, there's a lot of vehicles from Thornwood that uses that private drive to come in and out. So I'm sure there's different parts of the day that they probably all come out that road, you know, and they use it. Because I mean, look, if you're going south, why do you want to go all the way up to Grassdale Road? So those, it's kind of, I think, helps both people, you know, through there. So it's used a good bit from Thornwood Drive. Now, from the infrastructure and the issues that some of them have, you know, I've talked to, I believe it was Keith. So I talked to Keith. Keith's piece of property is internal. And if I'm not mistaken, he's right here. He's got some issues there. There's nothing we can do about that. You know, that's part of the original development. You know, the storm drains for their development. You know, there is some drainage easement on this property that follows the backside of this pond. There's a drainage easement that comes over, it goes up under a culvert up under Country Club Drive. All right, this drainage easement, there are some neighbors back there who have built fences on their property that's acting as a dam you know, through there. So some of that probably could, at least the people on that side, if their fences were raised up a little bit, they've created a damming situation with the fencing. So, but there is a drainage easement of record on there. And so it needs to be cleaned out, but that's not our property. I can't just go over there.
Right. Okay. So, again, relative to, well, Ms. Hodge, did you get your question answered?
I did.
Thank you. All right, was there any final rebuttal that you had on the zoning piece?
That's it.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Stewart. That being the case, I'm going to close the public hearing on Z25-03. Again, we will have another public hearing, and then council will take this up for consideration. It'll happen on July the 3rd, 7 o'clock here in council chambers.
Mayor, I did just want to clarify one point for
Sure.
the council. With respect to whether or not a variance will be required with respect to the rear entry on the buildings, what staff said is they have not made a final determination on that yet. So although I understand Mr. Stewart feels one may not be required, staff has not made a determination one way or the other on that. So whenever they do make that determination, if this is approved and they say one may be required, it would be. And the reason it would be required is just like corner lots. You know, we don't allow fencing in the front yard, but if you have a corner lot, your rear yard is under the city ordinance considered your front yard. So all those people have to come before the Board of Zoning Appeals to get a variance to put a fence in what is really their rear yard, even though it is,
Corner lot.
according to the city, technically a front yard. And the same situation may apply here, but staff has not made a determination on that yet.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you
And
for
the
that.
last question I have is, why can't we get whomever owns the backside of that flooding property of Thornwood to clean it out?
That would be all the, you know, I haven't looked at the particular drainage easement that's in question there, but it is my understanding it is not a city drainage easement, from my knowledge. So that, for cleaning that out, that would normally be the duty of each individual property owner, since they don't have a homeowners association.
That answers my question.
You know what? I'm going to open up the public hearing again since you want to speak. Come on.
Okay. Again, Deborah Mason, Winfield Drive. So you're saying that the city has nothing to do with the drainage, but yet I come to the city to complain about that. Now, I've had to replace an air conditioner. I've had to replace a water heater that is underneath my house because of this flooding. He says the fence is causing a barrier. Before I put a fence up, my yard flooded. Extremely bad. I thought, oh, one incident, won't worry about it too much. But at some point, enough is enough. Someone has to take responsibility for it. And I didn't put it in. And when I bought my house, I was told I was annexing, and that's part of the city. Now, if the city had nothing to do with it, then the city shouldn't have come on my property to inspect it and give me hopefulness that it could be fixed. As I said before, I'm not.
I'm assuming you're one of the ones that live along that back line?
I live next door to Keith.
Okay.
My yard floods worse than his.
Okay.
And so I put up a fence because I didn't want the little kids paintballing my house as they did the neighbor on the other side. But it doesn't flood as bad as it did before, but it still floods. And it's costing me money at the point where I said once before, I don't want to have to sell my home, but it's going to be a decision I'm going to have to make if we can't rectify this, because I cannot continue to make repairs for flooding that should not be my responsibility.
Thank you. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do, because we're kind of wandering off while we're
That's
having the public
fine.
hearing, but I understand and I appreciate you being here. I hope you understand that. If you'll leave your phone number with either Randy or David,
I've done it before, I guess I'll do it again.
Do it again, and I'm gonna work with folks to see if we can't get to the bottom of it. Because I don't know all the situations to get you an answer, but we're gonna work on that, okay?
I just know that I've been in my house almost 25 years.
Okay.
And at the point now, I don't really want to move, but it looks like I'm going to have to if we can't get this fixed. And that's a burden on me because I may not get the value out of my house.
I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to close these 25-03. Again, we'll have the second reading on July the 3rd, and we're going to move on to the next item, which is, sir, I've already closed the public hearing. It's not really relative to the zoning, and we're going to move on to the next item. You're certainly welcome to, I'm happy to talk with you after the meeting, or you can talk with Freddie back there. Mr. Forsyth.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. The first item I have is it's a request to pay an invoice for a line stop to Garrison Enterprises for $18,025. This was required to fix a water line leak on Highway 41.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Aye.
I had a motion to approve here. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Hi, Gary. All right, next item, Mr. Forsyth.
Yes, sir. This is a request to close out the Atco Pettit Creek Jimmy Don Crane Sewer Replacement Project. The primary portion of this project replaced a aerial crossing across Pettit Creek. That project is finished. With the total price coming in at $1.5 million-ish, which is an additional $67,120.55 that the city has paid. That addition is the need to add the Phillips Drive sewer extension to this contract to eliminate a liability for the city.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please, Sydney.
Yes, sir. This is the Waterford sewer relocation project closeout. This is a multi-year project, essentially replacing a section of 36-inch sewer, which, as you can see in the center photo there, was an aerial crossing of a ditch that caused problems in that area. This comes in at $12,988 above the approved contract price. The additional cost was for additional stream bank restoration, which is on the far right photo there. Those two photos are taken at the same location, so you can see the difference in that area.
Very good. Any discussion?
Before we close it out, are we confident with the any other maintenance issue we may have on Waterford Drive?
We are confident with it. I have spoken to a couple of property owners there who have questions and concerns, particularly some driveway issues there. I walked over the driveway. The contractor has revisited out there. There is still a 1-year warranty period on all the work that's there, including landscape and driveway repair and those kind of things. So we are monitoring and still in communication with property owners in that area.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bert, do you vote on that?
No, we haven't. I was discussing it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's, thank you for getting me back on track.
Some clarification.
Would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the closeout.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item, please.
Yes, sir. My last item is a project closeout for the Mimosa Drive Chestnut Street water main replacement project. It's replaced approximately 3,000 feet of galvanized water line with a total savings on that project of $96,836 below the contracted price. So just to reiterate, over the three projects, approximately $3.1 million, we come in at about $16,700 below the contracted price in total. I request your approval to close this project out.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve the closeout.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And before you leave, Sydney, Mr. Porter wanted to share some platitudes that are well-deserved.
Yes, Mayor, thank you for that. I'll kick it off. Basically, this past Monday, we had a severe water line break thanks to a third-party contractor, but I'll let Sydney kind of talk about that, and I want to publicly thank the county and stuff for their help.
Yes, sir. Not to be too long-winded about this, but this past Monday at exactly 5 o'clock, we were notified of a large water main break on a 36-inch water line on Industrial Park Road. We worked approximately 36 hours on that line with assistance from the Bartow County Water Department to get that back into service. You can see the top left photo is actually Bartow County Water Department taking some of the load off of the city water department, fixing a leak that that had happened during that day. You can see the large hole that was excavated. We didn't dig any of that. The water dug the hole for us. It was a 6-inch hole in the side of a 36-inch line. Approximately 2 million gallons went out that line that night. But we got it back in service. We had to work closely with both Anheuser-Busch and the Bartow County Water Department, because if you remember at visioning, excuse me, I mentioned there's about a 4-mile section of this line that cannot be isolated, that we had to isolate. If we had the full loop that we were looking to have, this would have just been a large water leak and my hair would still be brown.
Be thankful you still have hair.
But yes, sir, during that time, the entire northeast part of Bartow County operated off of a single tank with no feed into that tank. We were very nervous, but we were able to get it in time. And like Dan said, in no small part because of the assistance of the Bartow County Water Department.
So on that, I mean, yes, we're a few hours away, Sydney told me, from having to barely shut off people's water from that. But I want to publicly thank Bartow County for their assistance. It's a great pleasure. They've worked side by side with us on these issues. Because of if you ever had a water issue at your house, they had water hammer. Basically, because of this line being out, we had a couple leaks in downtown because of it. Bartow County actually fixed one of those leaks for us with their crews. I also want to publicly thank Jason Hazelwood, Kevin Allen, Joseph Overby, and Elijah Whitner, who worked 36 hours straight for our department to help fix this leak for us. And those guys were in the hole in that middle picture at the bottom. So I just thank Sydney and his guys for their dedication and getting our system back operational.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like we should clap.
Come up, Wade. You're next. Good luck following that.
But before can I ask a question? Like, obviously that costs money, right?
Yes.
And that was not our issue.
We are going to file a claim against our
Okay.
insurance company
Very
and go
good.
after them for all that. Yes.
Just just making sure we just weren't doing that.
No, we're not.
We thought you were paying for it, Jason.
Go ahead.
I just want to say, City's worried about having gray hair. I just wish I had hair.
That's what I'm saying. I'm with you.
So Public Works has been through a remodel process. We're having some change orders at the end of the project. We have several of them that were listed in the work session, including to address issues with, once we opened up the project, we found a lot of structural issues, termite issues, and water issues that caused us to have to do a lot of change orders. We're requesting approval to approve these change orders as well as the generator and from some future landscaping. We're requesting approval for that.
Okay, thank you. Questions? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve the change order.
Second.
All in favor, again, saying aye? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Continue on. Wade?
Yes, Public Works is in need of a straw blower purchase. We found one at a Finn B40 from Dobbs Equipment at a Sourcewell price of $17,797. We're requesting approval for this purchase.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, Wade.
The last one is just a second reading of an ordinance change. It has not changed since our first reading on the floodplain ordinance, just some terminology, and we're requesting approval of this.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve the ordinance change amendment.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Lovell, you have the next ordinance revision relative to our technology fee surcharge.
Yes, Mayor, this is imposing pursuant to a charter amendment approved by the legislature, a $20 technology fee to all fines issued by the city court. It is recommended by staff for your approval.
Thank you. Questions? If there are none, go ahead, I'm sorry.
This is in addition to this is additional money to every ticket or
Yes.
thing that comes before court?
Yes.
It's in line with what everybody else is doing too, correct?
Other communities have done it. Some have been doing it for years. Most of the other Bartow County communities went to the legislature last year to do it. We did it this year. Just to give you an example, when you come to our city court, if we're fining you $100, normally $40 of that are surcharges. And of that $40 currently, most of those are surcharges that go to the state of Georgia. They don't go locally. So now a $100 fine would be $120 in that particular example. That surcharges will allow the city to keep from having to increase its fines to keep covering the growing cost of technology for court. Just for instance, the current court software, which is we use, the city has currently been paying just from the fine itself without a surcharge, $6 for every ticket we issue. And in addition, and I don't know the exact number, but we also have to pay for a translation service via telephone, which is part of that. And all that will then be covered by the technology fee, in addition, of course, to software, hardware, and those type of things that we routinely have to purchase every 2 or 3 years.
Thank you.
All right, I just learned something. So if I pay $100 fine for running a stop sign or whatever for the city, how much is going to the state?
Roughly $40. Now that is in Cartersville. Now, if you happen to get a ticket in the city of Atlanta and you went before the judge, he would give you a fine of, say, $100. And then when you walk down to pay that fine, the nice payment clerk at the window then would tell you, you have to pay an additional $40 in surcharges. So down there, you would end up paying $140, example, for that. What the city does is we go ahead and when we tell somebody a fine amount, we include the surcharges. So when they go pay, they don't freak out saying, well, I only had $100 because that's what my fine was. I didn't know I'd have to pay another $40 on top of it. But yes, roughly 40% of the majority of fines, and for some fines like DUIs, it's closer to 60%. That money is going to various state surcharge funds, such as the Police Brain Trust Fund, the Spine Trust Fund, the Law Library Fund, and all of these things that it goes to the state. There's a list of like 20 of them.
Well, I'm a huge supporter of shorter meetings that don't last a little bit long. And I feel like right now I'm prolonging this meeting. But
It's because you are. But it's all good information.
so who sets, I mean, obviously we set our fine now, correct?
The judge recommends, well, y'all set all fines in the city to be a maximum of $1,000 per day per violation. What the judge does, and as a matter of fact, in July, y'all will be probably getting one. What the judge then goes through all the offenses and comes up with a recommended fine that he prefers to use on each charge. That will then be given to y'all, and then y'all by resolution approve that, or don't approve it, or whatever you want to do. And then it goes back to the judge, and then he adopts that new fine list as a standing order. The judge doesn't have to do that. He can just treat every single one on a case-by-case basis. But the reason why we go ahead and set a fine amount for various things is it allows people to pay their fines online without coming to court for a lot of offenses, which are just minor traffic offenses. You know, don't get me wrong, they still have the right to come to court if they want to, and we're more than happy to have them to. But that is the reason we do that. But yeah, ultimately y'all have set the maximum fine, and the judge does send y'all a fine list periodically for y'all to approve the recommended fine.
But the state has no say on that.
The state has a say, but they have capped your ability to charge a fine on most offenses at $1,000. But they don't have a, you know, if y'all, you know, for instance.
And they just say they're taking 40% no matter whatever. What do they do? Man, what are they getting that for?
The state legislature has approved various trusts for various purposes that they have in their infinite wisdom decided that people who commit crimes in the state of Georgia should pay into those funds. One example is, like, I know there's what I call the Police Brain Trust Fund. It is for cranial injuries suffered by law enforcement officers, and believe it or not, the state has a fund for that, and when law enforcement officers who have those types of injuries, they are allowed to make claims with respect to that fund, and the state funds that way. And there's about 20 different types of funds that they have like that.
Ultimately, they can justify the fact they're getting 40%. Got it. All right. I had no clue.
I didn't say they could justify it. I'm just saying that's what they do.
All right. All right. I hope everybody's listening tonight. 40% of what you're paying is not going to us, Kevin. Wow. Am I supposed to be voting or making a motion?
Is there more discussion?
None.
If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, Mr. Lovell.
Yes, next item is pursuant to the same charter amendment, we did delegate all the duties of city treasurer that used to be held by the city clerk to the finance director. And these are some ordinance changes that need to clean up our ordinances because of that charter amendment. It is recommended by staff for your approval. Well, at least Julia does recommend it. I don't know if Diane wants those duties or not.
A motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Santo, how are you tonight?
I am well. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Time to look at the the 25-26 budget.
25-26 budget. This is the second reading of the ordinance. There's been no changes since the first reading of the ordinance, and the entire presentation is on the city website. On the next slide, you'll see the proposed budget is a balanced budget of $383,226,343, of which 52% is our capital improvements or additions. Some of these items include the new City Hall, Recreation Center, water treatment plant expansion, and SK Hyundai line, just to name a few. The proposed budget does include salary adjustments, no increase in the city's property tax millage rate, and a decrease of 0.3 mils for the GO bond tax rate, an increase in health insurance premiums for both the city and employees, and a small increase in our water and sewer rates. On the next slide, you can see our budget by fund, in which 21% is for our general fund, 41% water and sewer, 17% electric, and 13% is appropriated to our gas fund. On our next few slides, we're going to talk about some of our rates. Our electric rates will continue. This is year 2 of a 5-year administrative fee adjustment. However, we do continue to remain lower than surrounding cities as well as Georgia Power in terms of our rates.
And that base rate change equates to what on a typical bill, residential? I think we said last time it was about $2.30.
$2.50 a month on the minimum bill.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And Cartersville Gas also remains one of the lowest providers in the area, with an average cost of $1.35 per therm. Again, this is our second reading, no changes, and I do recommend approval of the proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget as presented.
Any questions? We had the long version at our last meeting, and as Diane said, no changes on that. Any questions or discussion? If not, a motion is in order.
Make a motion to approve the 25-26 budget.
Second?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Continue on, please.
Yes, for our second reading, this is the fiscal year 25-26 water and sewer rate ordinance. This includes an increase in the water and sewer fund to help address maintenance and capital issues in our water fund. The increase is as follows: a 5% increase in the residential water and sewer rates for both inside and outside the city limit customers. This 5% increase will allow the water department to continue the maintenance of the existing water and sewer systems, as well as update and expand the system to fulfill the needs of our existing customers. For residential customers, the water and sewer rate increase is equivalent to about 0.16 or 16 cents per 1,000 gallons. The total estimated increase for a residential water and sewer customer is $2.38 per month for 7,000 gallons consumed. With the proposed increase in water and sewer rates, the City of Cartersville residents will remain one of the lowest in the surrounding municipalities. The increase is needed to maintain the existing system and plan for necessary future expansions. I recommend approval of the proposed water and sewer rate increases to begin effective July 1st, 2025.
And again, we do this 5% each year to keep up with the cost of providing that service. Again, well below what surrounding areas are, with the exception of Calhoun, but our water tastes better. And but it also keeps us from having to come back and give somebody a 20% increase, you know, if we were to hold them steady for a couple of years. And as Diane just said, it's going to be about a $2.38 increase. So that being said, any discussion or questions? If not, Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please, Diane.
Yes, this item includes the contracts for performance of services for those agencies that are awarded funds as a part of the annual budget, as we just saw approved. The agency list is before you. These are 10 agencies that requested funding. All these contracts, again, are budgeted in the fiscal year 25-26 that was just approved, and these contracts have been reviewed by legal.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, Mr. Porta.
Yes,
Thank you,
Mayor.
Diane.
This is an annual agreement with Rotary Club for the July 4th celebration at Dillinger Park. I recommend approval of this, which will be a $10,000 contribution by the city. The county has done the same $10,000 contribution.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve. Second?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Freddie, you've got the next two, please, sir. Good evening, Mr. Morgan.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. We're asking approval to move forward with an agreement with Copart Auto Auctions to sell our surplus vehicle equipment through them. We're asking council approval for that.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Oh, goodness. Second. Let's try to do so fast.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item, please, Freddie.
Yes, sir. Our existing pension attorney has moved to another firm. We're asking approval to move our City of Cartersville Pension Board files with him to that new firm. We're requesting your approval. Pension Board has authorized this, and we're requesting council approval to move forward.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion approved. Second?
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Lovell, you have the amendment to this first reading of an ordinance we have here.
Yes, this is basically changing the way the municipal court treats holidays. Currently, and I'll use Good Friday week as an example, currently the ordinance reads that if there's a holiday during your week, we don't have court that Monday of that week. So for Good Friday week, for instance, you have the holiday on Friday, and we would not have court on the Monday before the holiday. The proposed change would basically be that if we have a holiday on a Thursday or a Friday, then we don't have court the following Monday, which is beneficial to staff, and I would assume, probably the public as well. And it is recommended by staff for your approval.
And you said the main reason one of the major reasons would be that a lot of the work to prepare for Monday is done on that Friday.
Correct.
And so if there is a holiday on that Friday, it really puts an undue stress on the earlier part of the week to get ready for that following Monday.
Right, because, the court office basically, they're doing a whole bunch of reporting to the state, as you heard through my lengthy explanation with Jay, so a lot of things they have to do during the week, besides just deal with walk-ins and people want to know how much their fines are and things.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
This is the first reading.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's the first reading?
Yeah.
We don't vote on it. Thank you very much. Like I said,
You can do an emergency reading. No.
still new at this. Before we get to the finance report, council, we did add 3 items to the agenda. Mr. Port is going to handle all 3 of those.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. First one, the additional asphalt binder work for Indian Trail resurfacing. The water department contractor finished the work out there, and we wanted to pave the entire road. Additional cost of $77,263. It'll be paid for out of 2020 SPOS. Recommended that for approval.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
I gladly make a motion to approve the asphalt.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please, Dan.
The Trammell Lawn Care has been hired by the school system, and we're going to take over that responsibility of paying for the field Sugar Valley Park is used by the high school softball team. It's $11,000 for that work, and I recommend this for your approval.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And the last item.
Yes, this
For
is
you.
this evening, or early this afternoon, I got the renewals for our travelers insurance policy, which covers our general liability, auto, as well as crime and cyber liability. I recommend approval to stay with travelers for that renewal. As far as the property insurance, Liberty Mutual has been covering us for the last several years. Travelers is looking to provide us a quote. I talked to Terry Watkins, our agent, earlier today. I would like to just give me the opportunity to accept the best bid once I get the proposal from Travelers. If they get a better quote than Liberty Mutual, I will recommend approval officially on the July 3rd meeting for the property insurance portion of that. And as far as the workers' compensation, we've been self-insured for a number of years. We have excess workers' comp coverage. I'm not fond of the premium for that. I recommend denial of the excess workers' comp coverage. I will bring you a proposal back at your July 3rd meeting. I'd also like to, there is a third-party administrator process our claims of a workers' comp, which is a company called USIS. We have an annual contract with them. I'd like to approve that one, continue on, no matter what we do with the workers' comp. If we have an employee had injury, he has to go through the doctor. They process the claims for us. We have had that contract with us for a dozen years or more. It's like $10,000 some odd for, but that is part of the annual renewal process. I recommend approval to Travelers to continue on with their coverage and give me the opportunity to look at Travelers Liberty Mutual policy proposal for the property, as well as denial of excess workers' comp coverage with Midwest Insurance.
Thank you. Is there any questions on this item? All right, council, a motion is in order.
Motion approved.
Okay.
You want to make it that way, or you want to say that?
I approve what Dan wants.
You approve the city manager's recommendation.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. That's the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Santo, come on up and give us this is a new and improved finance report. No pressure here, huh?
Here we go.
Feel all the pressure.
You see the
Standing between you guys and the door. Okay, so for tonight, we'll be reviewing the financial report, and we're comparing April of this year as compared to April of last year. And I'll just go quickly by fund, highlight the big items. For the general fund, our revenues decreased from April of last year to this year by a little over 11 million, but that's attributed to last year's sale of the industrial park land. Otherwise, our revenues are trending consistent year over year. Expenses have increased by a little over 10 million, and a lot of those increases in the general fund are attributed to one-time or capital in nature, such as the completion of our Carter Grove Fire Station, additional police vehicles, and some design and construction costs at our Tennessee Street Recreation Center. For our water and sewer funds, revenues have increased over April of 24 by a little over 3 million, and a lot of these increases we're seeing are in our water and sewer capacity fee category, while expenses have increased by about 5 million. As noted, I'm not sure if you guys can read that, it's very small print, but we have spent a little over 17 million thus far this year for our water treatment plant expansion, and an additional 2.7 million for our water pollution control plant expansion and design project. In our gas fund, our revenues have increased from April by almost $3 million, and this is primarily in our industrial heat space and large transport fees, while expenses have increased by about $1.3 million, and these are primarily attributed to the increase in cost of gas purchased as well as capital expenditures. In our electric fund, our revenues increased from last year this time by about $3.5 million, and that's mainly attributed to our year-end settlement. While our expenses have increased by a little over $500,000, and a portion of that's our cost of energy purchased up, as well as our transfers to the general fund. In our stormwater fund, revenues have increased by just roughly $7,600, while our expenses have trended up by about $33,000, and those expenses have increased in personnel and operating. And in our solid waste fund, revenues have increased by about $40,000, while expenditures have also increased by about $40,000, keeping us pretty on par with where we were last year. Our fiber optics funds have increased by about $4,400, while our expenses have decreased by about $2,000. As far as our cash position and our total unrestricted cash balance, as for the month of April, we have a little over $107 million, and for our total restricted cash, our balance is approximately $158 million.
Thank you. Anything to add?
Just echo basically, as Diane touched on, general fund and water and sewer, we do have some large capital project going on. That's the reason why you've seen some additional expenditure. There was a one-time cost, but everything else is going well, very well. And welcome, Diana, to this monthly report you have to be doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. I know it's been a long day, a long meeting, good meeting, productive meeting. I do want to, and Dan did a wonderful job on highlighting the water department's work, and we're certainly appreciative of the dedicated employees that work there and for the help of the county. Earlier this week, we had another situation. I like to call them tests. We seem to pass them as those quick storms came through. Literally every department in the city, I mean, fire, police, electric, water, public works, everybody has got all hands on deck to get people reconnected or to make sure that our roads are clear and safe. And so I just want to thank every single person that wears the moniker of City of Cartersville and providing those services. They did a great job this week. Again, it was quick. I don't know how expected all that was, but once again, rose to the challenge, and certainly appreciate the efforts of all those that were a part of that to help make our community a better place. So, anything else that needs to come before council tonight? Praise the Lord.
So what's the percentage that goes to the state?
40%. Come on up, sir. Come on.
45, actually. I'm just clarifying a statement that was made earlier about no drainage easements in the Thornwood subdivision.
We're going to be looking into that.
So there is, oh, okay, so you know, sure.
I'll get, I know Fred, you gave some information to Freddie. I'll be looking into it and then talking with our public works director to find out. We'll go get back in touch with you guys.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Kirkland. Anything else? Chair will entertain a motion to be adjourned. Stay gold.